was cool. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to Mando Monday. It's Mando Monday.
That's right. It is Monday.
It is Mando Monday. We've been waiting all week for this, so we're going to let everybody get in here and get settled. Welcome the panel, and we've got an incredible panel here today assembled for this finale of Mando Monday. The hardest part about this was really just keeping it all under wraps and staying chilled out for the weekend.
Definitely.
Was this not just the hardest weekend to not ruin spoilers? I mean, I was on my best behavior this entire weekend in terms of like spoiler watch. So everybody's gonna get a little settled in. It looks like we've got 10 in the stream. Hello to everybody out there. I just want to say a quick hello to everyone in Walt's apartment and everyone over at This DisLife. Welcome to the show. We're going to get started in a few seconds here. We just want to give everyone a chance to get logged in and make sure that they're set up. We are a live stream, so please make sure that you've registered in StreamYard. So above the screen here, you can see a link which will allow Facebook to use your name and your likeness in the comments so that we can pull you on air like we did right here for Dwayne. Hello, Dwayne. And if not, you'll suffer the fate of becoming the anonymous Facebook user. We love you, Facebook user. But Facebook user, make sure that you log in over in StreamYard. And welcome, everyone. Welcome our guests. Walt's apartment is in the house. It's an honor to be broadcasting. This is Mando Monday for Walt's apartment and This DisLife. So we're combining forces. Not since the Avengers assembled has there been something so epic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm ready to get this started. I know that we've all waited long enough. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the season finale of Mando Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, fired up by JL Folks. Thank you so much to JL Folks for his musical contributions to the show. Check him out, as you can see, over on Facebook. We listen. I was so excited about all of you coming into the house. I had to clean up a little bit. We cleaned up the intro for all of you. We dressed to impress. The Wookie ran back to Kashyyyk really quickly, but here he is again. all of you that have been tuning into Mandalorian Monday, you know my co-host. He is the Wookie and the Wolf, that they've been riding the Millennium Falcon with me since episode 1 here on Mandalorian Monday. Welcome back, Wolf and Wookie from Wolf and Wookie, a Walt Disney World podcast, and also now a member of the This DisLife family. Welcome to the group, gentlemen. Welcome to the channel. Welcome home. It's awesome to see you guys again.
Good to see you too. Glad to be here.
We welcome
Glad to
Brian.
be here with new friends too.
New friends, yeah. Brian, welcome to the show. We welcome Brian from United We Fan. Guys, we're going to have the socials up as well, too. I had a great time with Marc and Brian fanning out hard about the investors meeting this last week. I did an amazing podcast. Brian is a kindred spirit when it comes to all things Star Wars. And I said, hey, Brian, we're doing the finale. It would be my honor to have him come on. Brian, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I can't believe we've already had a dad a little bit late.
Oh, we're having a few audio issues with Brian. Brian, we're having a few audio issues, and you can hear me too. Like maybe He's coming to us from an undisclosed location on Naboo. It's the Trade Federation, Bri. They're jamming the signal.
They're jamming it.
They're jamming you. All right, Amber and Jade joining us from Walt's apartment. They have an excellent Mando Monday of their own. Love their Mando Monday. Love their takes. Amber and Jade have become my favorite Mando Monday, besides doing this with my two guys here. And we hooked up with Shawn from Walt's apartment, and we said, let's make this a really epic episode and bring on the two ladies that know more Star Wars than I ever could and put me to shame. So we had to have them come on and really and school us on their Mandalorian and Star Wars universe knowledge. Amber and Jade, welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you. So excited to be part of a bigger group.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm geeked out. I was geeked out just over you guys, not even the episode in it. I was geeked out about this. And then I gave him in the pre-show, I introduced him as the Luke Skywalker to my Yoda, the Wookie to my Han Solo. When I was watching these movies, this was the guy that was on my left. This is Michael Ruby at Ruby Writer on Instagram. The man, the myth, the legend, my best friend, my best man at my wedding. I said, I need you to be here for me, man, and moral support. He loves Star Wars. He's a huge fan. And he's just he's got the best Star Wars mind that I knew until I met Amber and Jade. Mike, I'm going to tell you right now, until I met Amber and Jade, you were the dude.
Yeah, I appreciate being here and talking with folks. Usually it's me shouting at my kids about how amazing this was, and they're like, "Yeah, we want to go watch like Coop and Cammy," and I'm like, "No." So
it's okay. They'll grow up to be Jade. There's hope.
Yeah, a new hope even. No, super excited to be here. Thanks for the invite, and great to see everybody.
And just as an aside, before we really get into this episode, Mike, Amber, and Jade, they are on the same page as you as far as The Last Jedi goes. So you don't find a lot of support with me on that. I apologize, but you two can always dialogue and fan over Rian Johnson. You have the similar opinions in that. Let's just really quick. Let's welcome our audience in. Welcome everyone to our guests. Dwayne. The executive producer, the man with the plan over at This DisLife. Again, thank you, Walt's apartment, for this, and thank you for hosting us. Alicia just watched it. Chills. I cried. I'm still crying on the inside, Alicia. It is my first Mando Monday. Melissa, welcome to Mando Monday. What better way to join us than this one? Daniel, Star Wars lovers, these are my people. Yes, welcome to the tribe. Lori, here to commence the festivities. Here we go. Piano Rob is in the house.
Piano Rob in the house.
Piano Rob had an early quarantines to make this. So psyched that Rob is here. The music was so epic. Thank you. Yeah, we cleaned up. We cleaned up for these guys. Sam is here. Hey. Jade made it. Yeah, we're excited. Ariana made it. It's awesome. He's got to stop using the Rebel bass. Hello. We're getting some hellos. Loving the sweatshirt. Listen, I have to rep. We're going to talk about Grogu, but if that were if that's the last time I see you, my sweet baby Yodes, I love you forever. You can see he's over my shoulder as well. Grogu forever. First Mando Monday. Hey, to everyone who's joining us for the first time, it's an honor. Thank you so much for joining us. Amber's going back and saying hi to everybody. Ernie Briner made it live. Yeah, buddy. He's always watching us on replay. If you are watching us on replay, just let us know. We love you on replay as well. I just noticed the N1 Naboo Starfighter hanging over the wall. Yeah.
Very cool.
Amazing. Loving the setup, Bri. I was too excited to cry. We're going to talk about everybody's excited. Piano Rob, how you doing? Joe made it tonight. Joe is a frequent for us. Joe, thank you. Welcome back. And how sad was it if that would be the last time? I agree. I agree. So guys, there's not much in terms of the synopsis. The rescue is very much what it was. As advertised, the gang is all together. They swing by and pick up Bo-Katan before making the assault, and they plan it out. Boba Fett is going to be the point man. They steal a shuttle. Great scene too, like that opening sequence with the former Death Star techs were awesome. Gina Carano blasting that guy in the face was highly satisfying.
Yeah.
Like highly, highly satisfying. But I mean, the episode was just action packed, assaulting the Star Cruiser, doing battle with a Dark Trooper, the assault party, which we're going to talk about, just wreaking havoc and being the ultimate distraction, the duel with Moff Gideon and the Beskar Steel staff. Talk about Mando becoming the owner of the Darksaber, which I know Amber and Jade have some feelings, some strong feelings about that, which we're going to talk about as well. And then the moment that I have been waiting for since I was 6 years old, which my body betrayed me. We're going to talk about that as well during that moment that I just could not contain myself, nor could Kevin Smith for that matter. So I felt much better when I saw that Kevin Smith couldn't contain himself either. And then we say goodbye. We say goodbye to Baby Yoda. And maybe this is the last time that we will see Grogu, save for a cameo. So I just want to get initial reactions before we really get topical. And, if you guys would indulge me, like just 30 seconds, I'm not going to talk about the whole thing. I just want to talk about the moment when, it was fine. The Return of the Jedi lived up. It was like Return of the Jedi Part 2 for me. When I saw the X-Wing, my mouth opened. All I could say was how. And Amber and I talked about this. How is this happening? I have never been so happy to be wrong in my entire life. I thought it was going to be Ezra, and never have I been so happy to be wrong. I still think Ezra is going to be somewhere. Mm-hmm. But when I saw the X-Wing, my mouth opened, and I said, how? Then I saw the green saber ignite, and I said, how again? And then I saw the glove hand. And I kid you not, I don't know, nothing, I couldn't control myself. A single tear of joy rolled down my left cheek, and my eyes just filled with wonder. And Kevin Smith said it best. I didn't read his Instagram post. I said this to my friend Ernie, who's here in the chat. I said, dude, I've waited since 1983 for that moment. I built that moment with my toys for Luke Skywalker. I've waited for that since I was a little kid. And I called this to Dwayne my Ratatouille moment, where I took a bite of the Ratatouille. And then, like the critic, I was transported instantly to the childhood memory of that dish, of that movie. And I cried. And I cried out of joy because it was something I had waited for and didn't know how badly I needed and wanted that. So that was, listen, I could react to a billion things, but I really want to count on you guys, the panel today, and just shut up and moderate for once. I don't do that well. I apologize to all of you out there. But that's the only thing that I just wanted to get out there was, for me, a 42-year-old guy, that was something I have been waiting for since 1983 to happen again. And it was everything that I've ever wanted from Star Wars and everything I think I've ever asked for. And if there had never been another piece of Star Wars made, I would die tomorrow a happy man, having seen Luke Skywalker return to the Star Wars universe and be as badass as he was. Sorry for the language, ladies and gentlemen. But
not just return, but return in that full master status, right? We hadn't ever seen him fully achieve that, even in the sequel trilogy now, like he was the old man Luke. In this, it's like his prime time. And they did such a good job depicting that. His fighting style was spot on. You talk about seeing the X-Wing and then the green lightsaber. I was like this close to the screen, like looking at his fighting style, because all the Jedi have distinct styles. And I'm like, no way. There's no way. There's no way. And then the green lightsaber lights up. Like I was losing my shiznit.
Yeah. Go ahead, Wolf. And we're just doing initial reactions right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can't say. It was so good on every level. They kind of exceeded expectations, I think, almost completely from what we thought. I mean, we kind of thought that Baby Grogu was not going to be saved. And all of a sudden you see the rescue and you're like, yeah, it's happening. And, that initial moment when they see the X, I was like, no way. And very similar to you guys. I just was completely shocked. And the whole time I'm like, oh my God, why is it in black and white? What is going on here? I don't understand why that is in black and white. I need to see the color. And I'm colorblind, but I know when I see that lightsaber, it's instant. It's instant.
Yeah.
It's an instant look. So yeah, I was excited about that for sure.
Yeah.
Great episode, and yeah, excited to get into the rest of the details for sure.
Yes, sir. Brian, tell initial thoughts, buddy. And for those of you too in the comments, you know, we're dropping stuff. We're going to bring you guys on. Go ahead, Brian. We're still having some audio issues. I know, bud. All right, Wookie, we're going to go over to you.
I'm going to piggyback off of Amber. I thought the fighting style looked a lot like Anakin almost, like with the late blocking, shots behind the back and stuff like that. A lot of spinning. I thought it looked a lot like Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. As soon as I saw the green saber with the glove, who else could it be? But I did think it was going to be Ezra.
I did too.
As soon as I saw the X-wing, though.
I knew the Solo X-wing, and they made a point of that too. Gina Carano says, like, one X-wing, what's that's going to do? What is it going to do? You knew.
Now.
Yeah, when you knew with that line, you knew it was a dead giveaway. It was Luke. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, it could not have been more perfect, and it was so densely packed with callbacks. So I think the fighting style that you're talking about that kind of mirrors Anakin, just the fact that within like the first shot, you see him block a laser blast blind over his back, which calls all the way back to the first time he puts on the blast shield. And it's, you're saying that I'm going to be able to stop them without even seeing them. Like, that was tied in there. I felt like this was the first time we saw a real Jedi Knight. It was kind of like as a kid thinking about, a Jedi Knight, and they're calm and they're collected and they're cool. And like, we've somehow gotten twisted away from the mythology that, the reason Moff Gideon is shaken in his boots is the same way that like the Neimoidians are shaken in their boots when Qui-Gon's coming to the bridge in Phantom Menace. Like, no one has struck fear into a bad guy. It's just become kind of accepted that like either the Jedi don't exist or they're not as powerful as they once were. And even in, the great cartoons that are out now, you've got Inquisitors that are spinning lightsabers around as well. So it's like, finally to see somebody step up, and the sheer, to use the word you had earlier, the sheer badassery was like, it felt like a real Jedi Knight finally came back onto the screen. And, I'll go one step further. I didn't believe it was Luke. I literally said to the screen, show me the other hand. I saw one gloved hand holding the green lightsaber. And I'm like, if the other one could have a glove on it. It may be somebody else. So the second that I saw an ungloved hand, I literally was like, I shouted out loud, praying I wouldn't wake up everyone else in the house. It's Luke.
It's Luke. It's Luke. Brian Pohl, before we get to Brian with a Y, meet Brian with a Y. Remember I told you, this is my Brian with a Y. Brian says it's time to cast Sebastian Stan. Brian, yes. All right, Brian, go ahead. Let's see if the Trade Federation loosened their grip on Naboo over there.
Let me do one more audio check. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I am so sorry.
It's all good.
I honestly, you talked about that tear rolling down your left cheek. Ezra's lightsaber was green. That's all I'm going to say. Like, I wasn't fully convinced. I don't think now we're going to get Ezra. I think I know when we're going to get Ezra, which means I don't know when we're going to get Ezra. But the tears for me didn't come because what pulled me into Star Wars was R2-D2. And R2-D2 is what pulled Grogu to train as a Jedi at that point. He was hugging Mando's leg. When R2-D2 showed up and was himself, that's what made just the floodgates open for me. It was so awesome. Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, we see you in the comments tonight. It's just there's so much. So I'm going to bring everybody on air and get you on there. Facebook user, don't forget to, if you can get in StreamYard, make sure you register in StreamYard. When I saw the saber ignite, it was everything put together with the saber. I agree. I got goosebumps as well. Sam says, Shawn Williams, your chopped liver, bud. I had to bring that one on. I had to bring that one up. I thought the same thing. Let's get to some of the audience before we dive in. And
Jade, what did you think? I want to hear what Jade.
Yeah.
I want to hear what Jade thinks.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Before you start, I'm a big fan of Amber and Jade's Mando Monday too. And Jade, I always love your takes because I think that you bring a certain love to the forefront. And I like that.
Okay, so I was watching it at about like 12:30 at night downstairs with everybody asleep. So
I would
like
kill
I see
for that show to be available at midnight. Oh man, I would kill for that.
Yeah, I see the X-Wing roll in and like my body literally starts shaking. I'm like, stop. But it pulls in and then you know, Cara Dune's line, and I was like, oh, it has to be Luke. There's nobody else it could be. Like, infamous single X-Wing fighter comes in. Who else could it be? And then, you know, I see him kind of in the black and white fighting, and, you know, I'm like, maybe not. Then I see the glove and the saber, and I was just like, ah! And I literally screamed downstairs, and then, yeah, I woke some people up. But I'm literally getting emotional right now just talking about it. But, yeah, it was...
It was such a good episode in its entirety because we like text each other. We don't get to watch under the same roof all the time. So we like live text each other at the same time. We queue it up at the same time. And you can tell when both of us get too excited, there's no texting happening because we're just literally having these emotional and physical reactions that we can't always communicate.
Yeah, I'm downstairs on the couch and my dog's like trying to comfort me because he thinks something's wrong, and I'm like,
That's funny.
Matt, we're gonna get to that, buddy. He says, "What's everyone's opinion about Boba Fett, which is coming?" Or no, you did not. You did not miss that conversation, my friend.
No,
it's coming.
It's towards the end.
It's towards the end. One thing that Brian said that I loved is a lot of people watch this with their kids, and his son's reaction to the Luke reveal, it took it to a whole nother level. Dude, that's what we love about Disney is when you take your kid to Disney for the first time and they see the castle and then it becomes new to you. That's what we love. Disney's got that. They got that. I know Mark's initial reaction. Actually, he does. So it was tears and Tourette's.
That's a great way to put it.
It was tears and Tourette's because I sent maybe an F-bomb, one plus a lot more to James to say, oh my God, but it was oh my something. And the Wookie, dude, Kashyyyk has really bad Wi-Fi today too. It's crazy. Anyone else realize there's a good chance that Grogu gets slaughtered by Kylo Ren?
I'll kill him myself. If that happens, I will kill him again myself.
We have our own theories.
Here's the quote from Luke. He says, I would give my life to save the child. And how I take that is they intentionally put that in there to basically say Luke was still alive after Kylo Ren destroyed the new Jedi temple. So Grogu's still alive. That's my interpretation.
I believe that too. That's a good take. That's a really good take. That. So guys, I sent a little bit of an outline. What do you guys want to do as the panel? You want to take it as it comes and just be organic with this and you know get the audience involved and let them kind of drive it, or do you want to just go? You want to go in order that we kind of set? What do you want to do?
I'm easy. I'm easy.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here for any of it.
That's right.
All right. So let's let me get a few more of the audience. We're falling a little behind, sadly. I think about it. Rob Volt. Yeah, everybody. So everybody who is concerned for Grogu's well-being, that we got to chat. We have some stuff going on in the chat about Grogu's future. I was a 12-year-old kid again, and that was a long time ago. Amazing. Yeah, Shawn, I said the same thing. I was 6. Instantly, I was 6. Rob, I love them both. My boys called it, and I didn't believe it. Grogu will have graduated in the new Jedi Academy by then, or else he would have stopped Kylo. Good point. Good point. Like I think he would have been mad powerful by that point. First thought I had made me so sad. Nobody wants to think about that. If they went that route, this will call it even for more movies or shows. Hey, at this point, I won't discount Disney doing 20 at this point with the success they're having with this. This is the flagship for Disney Plus now. Mm-hmm. It really is. So true. Grogu is aging so much slower. Where was he for the sequel trilogy then? Gene, that's an amazing question. Like that's the $1 million question that I think we all asked with, are we going to see baby Grogu again? Where did he go to? Did he survive the temple? And if he did, why was he not around during the First Order? Or why don't we see him? Why don't we see him? Not to say that he's not around somewhere, but he's notably absent. He's notably absent.
That's a question that a lot of us that are familiar with the Star Wars television universe are so used to asking, though. Where is Ahsoka? Where is Kanan? Where is Ezra? It's a question I have stopped asking myself because they've got a story that they want to tell, and I don't think that it's really worth dwelling on it too much. But like I said, if Ben Solo killed him, I'll kill him again myself.
I've chalked it up to it's a really big galaxy. I think they've done a really nice job, especially now. I feel like I've said this to Mark a couple of times. I think Mando has turned into the thing that makes everything else better. Like they are solving so many problems. And I think the fact that we really, for the first time, understand what the Outer Rim means, the fact that it really is the Wild West and it's so barren and disparate and far out from the core planets that, like the only time we've ever really seen like core planets in full force are, being able to see Coruscant and being able to sort of see Canto Bight. But other than that, we're looking at like barren wasteland planets. Who knows where any of these people are and what reaches they've gone out to, so for all we know, Mando probably, by the time the next trilogy rolls around, he's going to be in his 60s. He may be kicking out on a beach somewhere with Grogu and they have no clue what's going on, with the First Order.
Right.
Go ahead, Wookie, get in there.
It really just was, honestly, it was amazing. There were so many emotions that pulled at every heartstring. You know what I mean? You were happy, you were sad, you were excited, you saw some great combat. It was just, and then you got like the nostalgia factor, which just really made the whole thing tie together. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we were texting that morning and we were both just nerding out.
At like 6:45 in the morning, we were texted. Brian, quarantine has not been kind to Bib Fortuna. Clearly, he did not put on the quarantine 15. He put on the quarantine 500. It was bad. It was really, really bad. James says we don't see Grogu for the sequel trilogy because they didn't have John and Dave.
Yep.
If they can bring Palpatine back the way they did,
wrong.
I think they can find a way to explain where Grogu is during the sequel. Listen, I agree with everything that Brian just said, that we consume Star Wars from a personal point of view. And I think that there's a lot of stuff going on and it's a big galaxy. I don't lose faith that he's out there. And there may be other parts of the story that we don't know, that after the destruction of that Jedi temple, they may have dispersed again, knowing what happened that first go round. And there may be Jedi in hiding. They may be cloistered in places all over, realizing that the Sith are rising again, and they don't want to befall the same fate that they did the first time, which is, hey, let's all be congregated in this one nice little neat place where they can come and kill us all in one fell swoop. So Jade, that's what I hold out hope for when I think of where are these people. I think that maybe they learned from the past and they're making smarter decisions on this second go round.
Yeah,
like,
and introducing the fact that there are these areas and pockets of the galaxy that are so vast that most people never even know about, like Thrawn, right? His whole planetary system is not even anywhere in our radar because it's so complicated to get there. Just like how the Emperor was able to hide out, right? So who knows?
Plus, I mean, you have to send a transmission unless they sense something through the Force, which at that point, she already would have been battling with Palpatine, so it would have been too late to get there by light speed or whatever. So,
So let's break this down and let's focus on the non-Force users first, because those provided. I'll be honest, for me, some of the most exciting moments, the Dark Troopers, and the boarding party for me were really fun parts of this episode. The Dark Troopers with their own like musical scoring, that technotronic, Terminator,
cool.
Terminator like, right? I mean, like it had.
You didn't like it, Wolf?
It had really.
I gotta be honest. I didn't care. I was hoping for something a little bit more than what they got for music. I'm always the music guy. Like I can always sort of pick up on those things and love those things, but the music for these guys just wasn't clicking.
Really?
Just wasn't. Yeah, I just didn't care for it.
The build up for those those Dark Troopers, let's face it, it was pretty big. I mean, it was pretty big, and
It was well
I
played.
thought it was well played. My opinion before I throw it over to you guys and to just talk about the Dark Troopers, I thought they built them up, and I thought the payoff was great. One of those things was doing some serious damage, and it took a Jedi Master to really bring those things down. Which I was like, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good. So let's go around the horn. Brian, let's start with you on Naboo, and tell us. Let's just get your thoughts. Let's do Dark Troopers.
I mean, if they hadn't come back as the boarding party, I would have been throwing that into the category of the most overrated things ever. But when Mando has struggles with them and then shoots the rest of them out into space, had they not come back, like obviously, I think we all would have a similar opinion. But the way they came back was epic. Just how that looked, and you get the line of how many life forms, and just Fennec Shan says 0. Like, that's super intimidating when you watch them come out of space, go through that. That was really, really neat. I still think Mando, if he were to fight Luke Skywalker, would be a little bit more formidable. I think the Dark Troopers would have at least been able to do a little bit more, but we got Luke being epic as can be. Overall, I was very happy with the Dark Troopers, and the way the doctor talked about how they're the third generation and they had to remove the human element was pretty interesting. I like the Dark Troopers, but was that the only? I don't know if we're ever going to see him again.
Yeah. Matt called you out, Ethan. Says first you don't like the water parks, and now the Dark Troopers music. Man, one of those days of conversation has to be in the works about this. Rob says, I love how it shows how powerful a Jedi is. The Dark Troopers are bad. And then here comes Luke slicing. Dude, yes. Everything about that comment, Rob. Everything
Literally
about
crumpled.
that comment.
He crumpled one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That was incredible. I can't even put it into words how amazing Luke was for me. Go ahead, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Troopers, buddy.
Dark Troopers, you know, I thought they were cool. I liked when they swooped in and grabbed Grogu. I thought the fight with Mando was high tension, and then, you know, it was kind of like an episode and a half of them, and they served their purpose. But I'm not super hung up on them. You know, I try not to think too hard about it. So when you ask, I'm kind of shrugging it off because I don't want to go too deep. Because I seriously was thinking about this morning. I'm like, how are they that different from the battle droids that were in Attack of the Clones? And they cut through them like nothing. So I'm gonna stop. I overanalyze everything in Star Wars, but I don't want to overanalyze the Dark Troopers. They're like Terminators that don't look like Arnold, and their mech music scares me. And like, it was cool.
Go ahead, Amber and Jade.
Well, I'm just brought back to the episode where Mando was tearing through all those security guard bots and like ripping their heads off, like killed 5 of them in the matter of like 30 seconds, if even that. And then that one was so much more difficult for him to destroy. So that kind of was like, interesting. But, you know, still a good fight scene. Kind of got to get Mando warmed up for the real deal.
I love the way they shot the scene of him getting his helmet bashed into the wall. I think that was a really good show of force to like really help you understand that they could have crushed his skull in a heartbeat had it been any other material his helmet was made out of. So, you know, they did those nice little lead-ins to build them up to the point where that epic battle scene at the end worked so well to be able to display Luke's masterful level of skill at this point.
Jade and Amber, like maybe you can answer this too. So if that material is that indestructible, do you know what was it that caused the dent in Boba's helmet? What was it that actually hit that to cause that kind of dent? Because here I am
made out of Beskar.
Yeah, I'm watching him get his head smashed into the wall, thinking, okay, if that's happening and there's not even any kind of stress fracture, there's no movement of that helmet. Here, Boba's walking around with that dent in it. I mean, I digress. I know that's like a really silly thing to think of in that moment, but
well, I'm gonna assume like looking at the staff when it's up against the lightsaber, how it starts to get that hot metal look to it, and eventually that will warp and that would break, right, with that amount of force. So maybe it's not 100% Beskar. I mean, who knows, right? Maybe they threw a little aluminum in
Yeah.
there for good measure. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
Christina.
the same thing with Boba's helmet.
That's something they do a lot with. Oops, sorry. That's something they do a lot with Beskar. They kind of lace in other metals in some like kind of less pristine armor. So like more higher up, like Bo-Katan and Mando, because he got all that pure Beskar, they have really pure armor. But like the lower level Mandalorians, where it's passed down from generation to generation, and they have to split up the Beskar between all their children, it's kind of diluted with other metals.
Yeah,
I would assume. I just know that some metals are more diluted. So clearly, maybe Boba Fett's armor is the
it.
Can I just say it's 5 minutes into the episode and we get the epic cantina scene with Boba and Mando and run into Bo-Katan. But it took
And
me
the
out
dialogue?
of the show. Yeah, but it took me
Yeah.
out of the show when she says that Darksaber can cut through anything and we have to be explained except for pure Beskar. Just show me that. Like, I didn't need that. It was super, super clunky. That really took me out of the show for like 5 seconds. And then it was awesome DDT WWE with a jetpack style. So I was back in it. But that really took me out of it.
Yeah, I was going to say that took you out, but Sasha Banks dropping a DDT on Boba Fett didn't take you out.
Was it a DDT? I genuinely didn't know if that's what it was.
Tornado
That's the only move I know.
Sasha
That's the only
Banks,
move I
women's
know.
champion,
I love
dropping
it.
him on his little head.
Hey, I just want an inside joke for the entire season. James, you've officially passed off the mantle of the Wookiee hiding comment. Christina has taken over and now covered all three speakers on the bottom. And I'm going to throw Wookiee in there just because he has to get covered up too. But we always bust on James for writing these really amazing comments, and it always would cover Wookiee, who I don't know why Wookiee would always strategically fall to the bottom of the triad, but there it is. There's the peak. But that's just the inside joke of the whole season. But yeah, the DDT, it did take me kind of out of the moment there. All right, so guys, let's get into really quick, and before we really dive into the boarding party, your thoughts of Bo-Katan showing us her handiwork. Listen, anytime that the Mandalorians are running around causing a muck, especially the last time we saw Bo-Katan, like I am all about the Mandalorian squad just running around like that. That was a really cool moment. And Gina Carano, Matt, your girl with that repeating blaster was straight hot fire. Straight hot fire. When she unjammed that thing and then comes out of the elevator guns blazing, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was
Well,
thinking
and just the whole girl squad. Like, it took me a moment to like solidify the fact, hey, we're getting our like straight up Avengers girl power moment right now.
Yes.
Like, yeah, Favreau, thank you. You know, me and Jade are texting each other immediately, like, yeah, girl power.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to say too, because all of a sudden you have Mando going one way, and you have all these strong, like independent women just going at it, and that to me was a really cool moment. And they're just busting through the stormtroopers, and I specifically really liked the moment where Cara Dune her gun jams, and she's about to go and like bust it open. And the sharpshooter gets her at the end there. That whole sequence was really, really cool.
Yeah.
You nailed it on the head for sure.
Just real comical moment. When I get these little gems, guys, I just got to bring them online. Brian Mando did his best over in Martell with the Beskar spear. Luckily, this time he kept his helmet on. Dude, good call. Awesome,
Good call.
Awesome comment. Awesome comment. Love that comment. Girl squad, Brian, what you think?
The gun jamming, again, another thing that kind of took me out of it. I thought they kind of dwelt on it a little bit too long, but watching her go ham with her gun was pretty fun. And then, like you said, when she gets it unjammed in the elevator, I don't see the necessity of it, but when she comes out of there, that's a really cool scene leading up to the bridge. Yeah.
What a cool visual that moment was.
That was neat.
Like that shot was money. It was so money, and it didn't even try.
And it's something Cara Dune really needed. I think a lot of people are starting to kind of dump on her a little bit. I think it's a moment that really sets up Rangers of the New Republic, and I think it's something she really needed.
Mike, girl power?
Oh, dude, I was not as big of a Fennec fan from beforehand, but dude, Ming-Na Wen is kicking it. She is 57 years old.
Wow.
And she is hurricane kicking people like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
I was blown away with what she did. I loved her. I know we're going to talk about Boba later, but I loved her down in some spotchka, sitting on the throne. Like, it was cool. And I gotta say as well, like, it's funny you brought up the Avengers. I think what I loved is the fact that we all just had to sit there and go, like, we just took it at face value that they were kicking butt. Like, and I love Endgame, and I love the battle sequence, but it felt so forced that it was like, here's our heroic zoom shot, and we're going to say that this is our girl squad, instead of just accepting the fact that, like, no, they're heroes and they rock, and we don't need to comment on it. It's just, here they are kicking butt. So I thought that totally delivered, and it was, I thought it was really satisfying that it was like, oh yeah, there's one Mando off on his own, and then look at these 4 super chicks kicking it, kicking everybody down. It was great. That was great.
Yeah, G was a fan. The girl power moment was fun. We had some discussion. We're going to get Matt. Matt is like 2 steps ahead of us. Matt, I love your foresight, buddy. I love how Matt has got everything that Matt is mentioning in comments. It's like, we're getting there. We're like that. That's the ultimate question of what's going to happen. The gun jam was priceless. We had some back and forth about the title of the cover up artist or the cover artist. Thanks, Christina, for taking over my position as the paragraph writer. The pressure is now off, and now it's back. It's back. James has reclaimed the title again. I think the Mando Girl Brigade was better than the one in Endgame. I agree, Brian. I agree with what you said, Mike. I didn't need to be beat over the head with it. The way that they rolled this out was just perfect. It was absolutely perfect. That squad, I fanned so hard over that moment, and it was easily, in an episode of moments, it was one of my favorite moments to see the girl squad wrecking shop on the Star Destroyer. The gun jam was priceless. Gina Carano, Sacha Banks. I was like, mic drop. I'm done. I'm in love. We know Matt. So Matt is in love with Gina Carano. So he posts these amazing, we'll call them tributes, Matt. We'll call them tributes. The Women Crush Wednesday is always either Gina or Sasha. Ming-Na Wen is amazing. Rob found out she worked for Disney for decades now. Ming-Na Wen, Princess Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., bounty hunter, true Disney legend. Yeah, like big time. Brian, now I know why you're not answering my text, James. Oh, God, you got trouble. Exactly. We're causing problems. We talked about how Moff Gideon looked when he was about to pee his pants when Luke shut up. It was mentioned, and it's going to be said again. It was just, that was a Phantom Menace moment. It really was when, they said, have you ever faced off against the Jedi? Surely we will not survive this. That's what that was. Mm-hmm. I almost thought he was going to say, bring me some droidekas. I thought that was going to happen. I thought it was going to happen. So that and like Legends Luke is all, I've been reading a whole bunch of stuff, and the fact that he's like now Legends Luke apparently brought down a Star Destroyer with his bare hands. Like, yeah, Moff better be scared. Yeah, I love it. All right, guys. So let's talk Moff for a second. I love Giancarlo Stanton. My only gripe is he has not been utilized enough. He's amazing. He's a great actor. I feel like they haven't given him enough moments to shine. So it was nice seeing him for a good portion of this episode. The duel that he had with Mando, I was wrong with that. I didn't think that he was going to face off against Mando. I didn't think that Mando, that was his kill. I thought that whoever this Jedi was, and I thought it might have been Ahsoka again. I thought it was going to be a Jedi that was going to square off against him. The fact that Mando did, it was even better. And I liked the way that I liked the choreography of the fight. I thought it was really cool. Again, I had flashes of Oberyn Martell. I liked the fighting with the spear. I liked a non-lightsaber weapon going against the lightsaber. Thought that was really cool. I'm a huge fan of like Star Wars games, and I loved Knights of the Old Republic. Before you sabered up and you built your own lightsaber, you had a lot of vibro blades. And so I kind of like these weapons being pulled in, to the armory, to the Star Wars armory, and then seeing them go against lightsabers. It's cool. It's cool to me. Like I liked the vibro axe in episode 1. I liked seeing the gaffy stick weapons that we've only seen as part of set pieces before, or you know what they are because you're like you're a complete Star Wars wonk, but they really haven't been wielded. So when I get to see these weapons used, I fan out really hard. So for me, that was the cool moment with that. But Wolf, you've been quiet for a while, buddy. Get back in. What'd you think of the fight?
Yeah, listen, you hit all the really great points. I think that when you take a non-lightsaber weapon that can compete with a lightsaber, you were destined to have something that was actually a lot of fun. And the thing I think I like the most about it, because I'm sort of surrounded right now around people who genuinely love Star Wars and have been invested in Star Wars for so long, that I really enjoyed was Mando could hold his own against a lightsaber. Like, he was doing pretty well. And I think that's the thing that maybe impressed me the most, was here's someone who you've never really seen him combat in a way. Can you guys hear me? Okay?
Yeah, no, I'm just doing a nonverbal hi to Brian. Brian says,
sorry.
"Hey," Brian said hi to you.
How we doing?
Sorry, Brian. He was on his flow, and I ruined his flow. Sorry, Wookie. That's on me, buddy. Or sorry, Wolf.
All good. I think that to me was probably the coolest sort of thing about this, because you've seen him do really well in with his weapons. You've seen him do well, hand to hand. But to see him with a weapon that was going to go up against a lightsaber, I thought was just really unique, and I thought it was really cool to sort of see that come into play. And yeah, it was pretty cool. The other thing that I really liked about this was the writing sort of gave that opportunity for Moff Gideon to be sort of the bad guy. Like, oh, you just want the kid? I just want the saber. Take the kid, get out of here. Like, it allowed for that opportunity for him to be bad, which, other than wanting the kid and sort of having this power, we had never really seen him be, in my opinion, really bad. And this was a cool opportunity to see that.
Yeah. Amber and Jade, what you guys think of the battle, the non-Jedi battle?
I thought it was a good fight scene. They put it together really well. I was kind of sad that I didn't get to see a lightsaber duel on The Mandalorian, but, for what it was, I liked it.
And I like the psychological pieces of Moff Gideon trying to get into the Mandalorian's head a little bit, and then how that plays out later when they're on the bridge together. Those to me are the ultimate villains, right? It's not just about the ability to do hand-to-hand combat with somebody and be strong and powerful. It's also that psychological dynamic that really creates that kind of more villainous character. So,
yeah, I saw that trick coming. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to go quietly. I didn't, Brian. I don't think he was going to go quietly. And I agree. Amber, it was the perfect despicable moment. I agree wholeheartedly. Brian, what you think?
I go back and forth on this one. The fight was epic, but it fully proved, and like you said, Giancarlo Esposito hasn't had a ton of time to explore everything that he can do. But he kind of lost that completely, what's the word? Intimidating factor a little bit in this one. Like, he was very easy to defeat once Mando tried to do it. I felt like his character, man, I feel like I'm pooping on this episode all over the place. I feel like his character was a little bit uneven compared to what he'd been. I really like cocky Giancarlo Esposito when he says, "Assume that I know everything." And then he kind of goes back and forth. But I mean, that's just how intimidating Luke is. That's how intimidating Mando was at the end of chapter 15 when he says, "You have something I want." He looked legitimately afraid. But I'm with Jade. I would have loved to have seen the Darksaber go up against that green lightsaber. Now, Hasbro Pulse just did release the Force Effects Elite Darksaber for release in August of next year, so I can replicate this fight in my own living room with my 8-year-old, and that just might have to happen. But so I would have loved to have seen it go up against a lightsaber.
To follow up, I want to ask you this specifically though. Do you think that quality, as a fan of like the WWE, do you think that quality of in him, in Moff, that he is a braggart in some respects, and then when truly tested, he's the perfect heel, that he shows courage when the situation is in his favor. But then when the odds are not against him, he really showed that he does not have courage. I think that makes him more villainous. No, it's like, I think of growing up, I think of like Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, was the ultimate heel in the then WWF, now WWE. He was really tough. He had swagger. He had, was it Mike Virgil was his side?
Virgil.
He had Virgil. When it was 2v1, he was a real tough guy. But then, you know, when Hogan or when Macho Man would go mano a mano, you know, the hands would go up. He would beg for mercy, fight unfairly. Like, doesn't that make Moff even worse, that he's not all powerful? He's despicable.
Yeah, I guess I never thought about it that way. That's my fault. For me, it's Gus Fring kind of never lost it, so I never expected the Moff to lose it. But maybe, I mean, and that's completely on me. It's definitely cowardly, especially when he just kind of lays on the floor and covers the gun with his cape. He's definitely cowardly, and he tried to take the coward way out, and Cara Dune kind of stopped that from happening. I'm very interested to see where they go next, for sure. But you saw his confidence come and go when the Dark Troopers are going to come in and me and the kid are going to be the only things living. Just, it very much came and went. And I think that's where it was a little more noticeable for me. And maybe that's just because that's how the character was confident, not confident, back and forth that quickly.
Yeah, Gene agrees with you. He said when he pooped his pants when Luke shut up, he lost credibility. See, to me, Gene, that's where I think that's when I really started to like him as a villain more, because I felt like at that moment, I feel like he really is not this all powerful foil for these guys. He is just he's just using his advantage when he can. So I liked it. I thought it gave him a little bit more depth. Fight was well choreographed, said Brian. It was unbelievable. If Gideon is now the property of the New Republic, who is coming to get him? Thrawn. Giancarlo Esposito claims he returns in a big way in season 3. Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about post battle. Let's talk about that. That's a great question and something that we didn't really consider in our outline. But let's take a minute to consider that. Is if he is now captured and he's in custody, do we see Thrawn in season 3? And is he going to go back and try to get the Darksaber again? Like, I want to talk about the Darksaber specifically, but what do you guys think is out there for him? Mike, what do you think?
I don't think we're going to see Thrawn here. I think they've set him up pretty well as the big bad for the Ahsoka series. So I don't know. I'm sure we'll get cross-pollination between all the things that are going on here, but I think they set that up elsewhere. I don't know where they take him from here. I think it'll be really interesting to see who is still out there within the remnants of the Empire and the dawn of the First Order that's going to come get him, if anybody's going to get him. I think what's really exciting to me about the Darksaber is how is this going to play out between Bo-Katan and Mando? Like, Din doesn't want it.
Yeah,
Din doesn't want the throne, so it's going to be this whole thing where it feels like she's going to have to like prop him up and kind of be like his guy, his person behind the scenes, teaching him what it is to be a real Mandalorian. I think inevitably we'll find. No,
I hope not. I hope not. Mando doesn't want to lead. I think the way they can explain the Darksaber from Sabine handing it to Bo-Katan, I think you probably have a part of Mandalore not willing to see Bo-Katan as their leader because she was literally just given it. Now I need to go back and rewatch Rebels, but I think that could be setting it up. But it's interesting if you have Bo-Katan mocking Din for his hold of tradition, for not removing his helmet and stuff like that, and now she's holding to a similar tradition. Obviously it's a little bit different, but she's going against a tradition she herself has already broken one other time. I need that explained for me. Din has no interest in ruling Mandalore. That doesn't excite me.
So that wasn't the first time. First off, in the Clone Wars, Maul had the Darksaber and he was ruling Mandalore, and she did not defeat Maul. Ahsoka defeated Maul, and then she got the Darksaber.
Mm-hmm.
And then again in Rebels, Sabine handed it to her after finding it in Maul's, what was that planet called? I forget.
Dathomir. Yeah.
Dathomir,
Yep.
yes.
Mhm.
After finding out on Dathomir, yeah. So again, handed it to her. So I feel like they're kind of just, I don't know, just
But
like
something could have happened. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
just,
maybe it's so fragmented that so many of these kind of cultish enclaves happened
yeah.
and kind of went into their own deep cultural backgrounds that now you have to go so far back in lore
Mm-hmm.
into like the origins of the Darksaber and how it was originally passed down through Mandalores to kind of seize that power.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, that's reaching into like Legends material and stuff that it
Now,
just
I
was
know-
a little wonky for us how they played that off, because we were both like, what the actual are you doing here? Because you're retconning your own shows, Filoni. Like, what is this?
He's thought about it. He's definitely thought about it. I believe that he's going to figure it out.
Yeah, so I feel like that's the only explanation is like, think about Mando's groups. They're kind of a far splinter from Death Watch and what we saw in the Clone Wars of what Death Watch was. So I feel like maybe because of the Empire and everything that happened there, maybe all the splinter groups are just, that's something that'll unite them, a story.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Mike.
I have full confidence. If they can suddenly fix all the questions we've had for the last 2 years just by having, Boba Fett say, I never claimed I was a Mandalorian, like, done. They're slick. I think, and if Filoni has proved anything in all this, it's that he's truly got his eyes everywhere. So I'm sure they'll come up with an explanation, whether we all like it or not. We'll see. But I'm sure they're thinking ahead.
Yeah, I know you said, both of you, Amber, you said Jade and I were talking, and we really did not like the fact that we felt that Filoni had like retconned his own story when it came to the history and the tradition of the Darksaber in that moment. So I'm a newcomer to Clone Wars and to Rebels. So like, that's where I defer to the two of you, that like you are very much into those series. I'm still getting through them. I'm a latecomer to them.
Welcome.
And I'm loving them. I'm loving every single second. The first season of Clone Wars, though, I will say I did not enjoy the first season of Clone Wars, but since then, I'm all about it.
Once you get about Ahsoka, you go back and watch it again, then you'll like it.
I'm in season 4 right now. I'm also trying to I'm trying not to binge too hard, in that I'm trying to like really savor it and enjoy it like a fine meal or a fine wine, because I know that once it's gone, it's gone. And I also know that I have a year until I get another season of Mandalorian and then Boba Fett. But I haven't gotten to the point yet where that moment didn't hit me with the same gravity that it did for the two of you. So that's why I asked the two of you was what did you think about it? I don't have much of an opinion on that moment, other than to say, I just think as a cat, like, and I truly, in that moment, I become a casual fan, because I don't have a lot of the backstory of Bo-Katan and the history of Mandalore, and I have not gotten to that point yet. So I see it almost as many of us do, which is, I wonder how that conflict between the two of them is going to play out. And I don't know, what's your opinion on, I just think it's too on the nose to make them adversaries. I think that's too on the nose, and I would find that's like sloppy writing. And I don't think either Favreau or Filoni are going to do that. I just think that's like terribly on the nose to make her and him, adversaries moving forward when there's other big bads out there. I just don't think that that's the story to be told there. I think she becomes more of a mentor. And I know, Brian, I know you hate it, but
hate's a strong word. Hate's a strong word, but he's not a full-blown leader. I do see this headed to a way of the armorer being the antagonist. And I mean, there's so many different ways that it can go. I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm just glad season 3 exists. Like, we got that from Favreau finally. So
yeah, I think it'll be cool. It'll be an adventure. Season 3, based on the writing that we talked about earlier, Game of Thrones style. I think we're going to have segmented stories that don't link up. So maybe at this moment, they both go out into the galaxy and start just trying to recruit Mandalorians. And there is none of this, like, who's the Mandalore, who's got the Darksaber. Maybe it's just like, hey, it's time. It's time to come back together. And they're just trying to find where those hidden enclaves are. Maybe that's the catalyst of of movement. I don't know.
Yeah, guys.
They've got to come together at some point.
Just as a programming note too, I think the siege of Kashyyyk has officially begun, because the transmission for Kashyyyk has officially been lost. I think we lost Wookie. Rip.
He said he's been trying.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
Yeah, it's been hard, but we're trying to get him on. She said to honor her sister when she had the dark saber. I'm just trying to get to some comments too. Piano Rob said, I'd love to see Sabine be involved in all of this. I'm curious to see where a lot of the Rebels characters come in, because I think we're going to get them in some form or fashion in one of these series, whether it's Ahsoka, whether it's Rangers of the New Republic. I think you're going to see a lot of the Rebels characters come in some way, shape, or form. So I would like to see Sabine Wren come back. She was one of my favorites. I haven't seen all of Rebels. I've watched here and there. I have to watch it straight through. But the episodes that I've watched, I'm a huge fan of Rebels. Huge fan of it. I love it. I love the style. I love everything about the storyline. I'm trying to get through the Clone Wars, but it's hard in this house. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find time to do a lot of the binge watching nowadays, especially when there's something with 7 seasons. I want the armor. Brian says, I want the armor back in season 3. If we're going to go full Mandalorian lore, Emily Swallows was excellent in that role in season 1. I presume she's still alive.
Oh yeah, she's got to be. She's still got to be alive.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree. She might be the big bad. She might be the big bad in that conflict. I was thinking Bo can't take it back because it was already in her possession and she lost it, which means she has to earn it back.
That's a good theory too.
But going by what Jade said, again, it was handed to her by Ahsoka. So if that is the case, then what Sabine did should have held water that back then too. And I mean, maybe we're just dissecting it too much, but that's what Star Wars is.
Yeah. Brian says I'm way behind on Clone Wars and Rebels. Good, dude. You're making me feel good. Thank you to the audience members who are making me feel good. You're making me feel like I'm not the worst Star Wars fan in the world. And I'm not saying that you are. Like, we're just thank you that you guys are really making me feel a lot better than I did about myself before I came on. Christina says, also a newcomer to the Clone Wars, enjoying it so far. We talked about this, Brian. We talked about this on our episode that we did with United We Fan, where I said of many intellectual properties, like Willow is the example I used. I'm psyched that series is going to bring attention back to the original IP. I think that's what this series is doing for the Clone Wars and for Rebels. For people who missed it or thought, oh, I didn't need to watch it, it's a cartoon. Now they want to go back and get that backstory. So it's really enhancing those older episodes. Like Christina's saying, it's making her go back. You're going to have my mind. I'm going to have my mind expanded by the end of Clone Wars. I'm going to learn so much, dude. I'm loving it. I just wrapped up for all of you that might even care remotely of where I am. I'm on the battle right now on Mon Calamari, where there's the 3-episode arc.
So you're just starting season 4.
Yeah, it's Captain Akbar at that point. Really cool. And it was a trap, and he didn't say it. So all right. Listen, we're running a little long in the tooth, but I don't care because there's a lot to break down. And I never have to apologize for when I'm talking Star Wars. But thank you for everyone who's hanging tight with us. So let's get to the moment. There's the 2 moments. Let's get to the Return of the Jedi. I cried. Mr. Ruby, let's start with you this time around. You've been sitting there quietly and patiently for a while. I told you my experience. It was a religious experience for me, but let's talk all things Luke for the next minutes. Guys, blow us up in the comments. Let us know about Jedi Master Luke Skywalker.
Oh, it was the same. Sitting there watching, tears streaming down my face, vocally shouted, "It's Luke." I think I shouted even louder, "It's R2." It was perfect. I mean, I can't say a whole lot more. I mean, it's really kind of been on reflection, watching it probably 36 times since. I just kind of keep watching that sequence, and then when I'm not watching the sequence, I play Ludwig Göransson's score and listen to that again. That's the one new thing maybe I can talk about. I love the fact that, and because I've seen people who've done recuts where they drop in original John Williams score underneath, it's so much better with the new Ludwig score, where it's dark, it's mysterious, you don't know who it is, it's a little scary because it's something new, and it just keeps building and building throughout the whole thing until you finally he takes the hood off. If I had one gripe, and I said this to you, Mark, afterwards, like, how is it they can get the de-aging so perfect with Michael Douglas and Ant-Man, and they can get it so wrong with Mark Hamill in this?
I was just gonna say, answer Brian's question. He said, "What did y'all think of another CG Luke?" So not a fan.
I think I've seen deep fakes that are better since that people have been doing on their own flames at home. It's like Disney,
Yeah.
like they it was like I the one that they did in Rise of Skywalker was so much better. Like, I felt like that was a much more natural Luke and Leia in the fight scene there, and then here it was kind of cartoony. I think that was
they blew their budget on the Crate Dragon. Let's be honest. That was it. Any money that would have gone to helping Luke's face in that scene went right to the Crate Dragon. I'll take it.
Favreau spent it on his own episode.
Hey, John, if you're watching, Mr. Favreau, we're not on first name basis. Mr. Favreau, if you're watching, if you have money to edit out the beloved jeans guy, you can go back and fix Luke's face because it's a little bombed out and depleted. Ladies, what did you think?
Overly Botoxed, like his forehead never moves. There's never any eye crinkling. I'm like, at least with Leia and Tarkin, there was facial movement that happened. It may have looked more clunky, but there was actual like natural movement and flow to the facial structure. That was just gone. It was like this painting with lips that moved. I was like, I mean, I still freaked out and loved it, but I thought it definitely could have been better.
They should have just cast his son, in my opinion. Like, forget the CGI.
Did anybody think that it was Sebastian Stan, and then you had to wait until the credits to be like, oh no, it was Mark?
Chin down before the hood came off. I genuinely thought.
I thought it was Sebastian Stan. And then I had to go to the credits. I watched the credits to be like, is it Sebastian Stan? Because if it is, we're getting a Luke series. And then I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna lose my mind. When I saw it was Mark, I was happy it was Mark. I love whenever Mark can come back to the Star Wars universe in any way, shape, or form. But I was hoping that it was Sebastian. Wolf, what did you think?
Yeah, I again gotta agree. It wasn't the best. It sort of reminded me of like a really poorly made video game. But for the sake of the story, I do think that ultimately it was the right play. Yeah, you know, like we all kind of said, you know, the moment the X-Wing went by, the moment we saw the hooded figure, I mean, I don't think anything else after that would have really mattered. So they did well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, and his voice, he is such a good voice actor. Like, he could throw that voice back 30 years instantly. And you're like, oh man, it's like I'm listening to the original trilogy when I just close my eyes.
Oh, absolutely. You know? Absolutely. He's a phenomenal, like, I think he's probably one of the best, if not the best voice actor of our time in just all the different things that he's been able to do throughout his career, for sure.
His mood and his affect rang to the Jabba's palace, cool, calm, and collected, where he doesn't know if he's speaking to adversaries or friends in that moment. And he's projecting a calm and a confidence. I so dug that when I watched it for the second time, I'm like, listen, he's back in Jabba's palace, basically saying like, I'm a Jedi master. You're not going to get any emotion out of me. And I can cut you all down in this. Did you just witness what I did to those dark troopers? I crushed him. I crushed him with my mind, you know? So I liked the way that he had a swagger to him. Some people said I didn't like his voice. And I said, listen, in that moment, he was in control of the situation. I loved it. Brian, before we get on and cry over baby Grogu,
I was just gonna say, in my headcanon, how it worked out is Favreau and Filoni were having a conversation of the return of Luke Skywalker, and the visual effects intern walked into the room and they thought he was going to blow the secret, so they put him in charge of the visual effects for that, and just called it good. Said, "Hey, you take care of that," and kept the secret from everyone else. But I think it was probably edited late in the game. I think they were really trying to keep that a secret. So I'm willing to overlook it. I'm good with it. It is what it is.
Yeah, and Christina even mentions Mark Hamill's Instagram story where he said, "Anything good on TV today?" The best Star Wars is always so great with keeping secrets, and like right there, claps to you guys. You floored me. You floored me. Never in a million years did I think that it was going to be Luke Skywalker. The only other thing that would have made me even more like crazy would be if it were Mace Windu. And then Amber, I really would have said like, how this is not possible. Because then you need an episode to just describe why Mace Windu is there in front of you. My 14-year-old daughter, it was the glove. Yep. It was the glove for me. When I saw the glove, a tear rolled down my cheek. Brian got here a little late. Another thought crossed my mind. Kara's sarcastic line, "It's the one X-Wing we're saved," is maybe supposed to be a contrast to Poe saying excitedly, "That's Luke Skywalker's X-Wing." Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at that point, Luke he's kind of a myth, he's kind of a myth at that point. So, guys, let's transition to the sad portion of the evening. And let me just say that I love you, baby Grogu, with all of my heart. I love you with all of my heart and soul. And I think that was goodbye. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay. I'm at peace because that was the good. If that is goodbye, it's the one I wanted. Your baby Yoda eyes going to get some chicken nuggies with R2D2. It's okay, buddy. It's okay. I'm gonna be fine. I kept saying that to the screen too. I was like, I'll be okay.
Nanny R2.
You go with Luke. I'll be fine. And I was saying to the camera, I'll be fine, baby Yoda. I have enough merch to last me the next 30 years. I'll be okay. Ethan, go ahead, buddy. You can just let it all out.
It's funny. I was watching this episode, and all of a sudden, I was watching it in the bedroom, and the wife looked over and she's like, "Are you crying?" I was like, "No, no, I'm not crying." It was such a heart-wrenching moment, and really it was the moment when Mando took off his helmet, Grogu puts his little hand on his face, and it's just like, that's it. That's the way that it's going. And yeah, I was probably in the same boat. I was just like, it's going to be okay. You're allowed to go. I'm giving you permission. And it really grabbed your heartstrings and just played. And it really was just a great episode for sure.
Brian, go ahead. What you think?
It's this departure is what made me think that The Mandalorian as a show was over. I thought a lot of people had synonymously said The Mandalorian equals Baby Yoda equals Grogu. Jon Favreau this morning on Good Morning America gave us full permission to use Baby Yoda, by the way. So I'm going to keep going with that. But I thought people would tune into The Mandalorian to see him. I thought the way you kind of fix that is you carry on Din's story in a different show. So the fact that we're getting season 3 surprised me, and I'm happy with that. I understand. I know we saw his face in the season 1 finale. I understand from a character development standpoint and how well of a job they did that with Bill Burr in chapter 15. Had this been the first time we had seen Mando's face, it would have made me just a puddle. It didn't hit me as hard just because I'd seen Mando's face, but it's the first time Grogu had seen Mando's face, and they got that puppet to react just perfectly. I really, really loved that when he touched his face, just all of that. It was incredible, just really emotional.
Yeah. What you think, Ruby?
I thought it was perfect, and so much rhyming within the Star Wars universe. I mean, it's Vader taking his mask off at the end and seeing Luke with his own eyes for the first time, and Mando. It almost doesn't matter that IG-11 has seen his face. It doesn't matter that Bill Burr and the Imperials saw his face. Grogu had never seen his face. So what was meaningful was that it was the first time Grogu had seen his face, and it was the first time that he actually had seen Grogu with his own eyes, and that was too much. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what is the Mandalorian without Baby Yoda. I think it's actually really exciting, and I hope that we don't see him again until it turns into as big of a shock as the first time the egg opened and we saw those little Mogwai ears kind of pop out, and we're like, is that a gremlin or is that a Yoda? No, it's a Yoda. So like, I think it's perfect. I think we'll have to see him again, but I hope it's not for a long, long time.
Yeah. Really quick before we get to the ladies, because I wanna get their opinion on it. Grogu was so epic though. He made Disney break their normal theming in parks. You can find Grogu in every park in every land. They don't do that ever. Disney knows that's just their money during the crazy time. Yeah, I've had a lot of people who've said that, James, that they said he will be back because of from a financial standpoint, they can't let him go because of the merch. But I think at this point, like, there's the cult status. Like, Boba Fett sold how much merchandise showing up and how much screen time in 2 movies. The foundation for Baby Yoda merchandise is laid. You don't have to see him on screen to want to continue to see him. And let's face it, folks, we've said this numerous times on this show. Mando is just running out of childcare options. He is running out of childcare options. The frog lady called him and said, listen, I can't do it again. He ate half of my children. That's it. We're done. I'm burnt out. So ladies, your farewell to Grogu. This is it.
Well, yeah, I thought that was a heartfelt moment when he, took his mask off and touched his face, and that was just super cute. I started crying. And then the part that kind of nobody else talked about that I'll talk about is when he was kind of clinging to his leg and R2-D2 comes in and he kind of turns around, and I kind of took that as he recognizes R2-D2. He remembers him from the temple, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what got me there. Like, he didn't really recognize Luke, he knew he was a Jedi. He could sense that through the Force, but he didn't know Luke at all. Like, he knows Mando. And then when he saw R2-D2 come in, I feel like he was like, okay, this is okay. I can go with this guy. So that kind of got me a little bit too.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about the R2. Maybe him recognizing or have some kind of awareness of recognition from
Plus,
Anakin.
My theory is the R2-D2 never got his memory wiped because in the first trilogy, well, not really first trilogy, but episode 3, they said, wipe the protocol droid's memory, but they never said anything about R2-D2. So I feel like he remembers everything. So that's why I feel like R2-D2 recognized him too. And I was just like,
they have their little dialogue. Yeah. So I like that.
Brian, it was just great to see him again. Go ahead, Amber.
Oh, I was just going to say I was a bawling pile of mess the entire time since the X-Wing showed up. So, I mean, this just added fuel to the fire. But I think it was well done. And in Din's kind of character development, too, where he knew in that moment that that's what the child needed. It's always like one of those things that as parents, I think that this journey with the Mandalorian, really spoke to those of us that are parents and kind of figuring out our way and how to be a parent and how do you figure out what your kids need from you. And that's one of those moments where he clearly identified, like, this is a milestone moment for this child and I need to do this, even though it's hard and it may be against everything I know in the whole world, but I know this is the most important thing to me in the world and I need to do this. So, just those larger philosophical moments that Star Wars is so amazing at just putting in there and you barely notice are why I love the series so much. So that was one of those pivotal moments.
So we were gonna do some speculation and we were gonna do our wish list for season 3. But given the fact that we are running over we had allotted an hour, we're at an hour and 18 minutes. First of all, thank you to the audience for hanging tight with us. Like, really awesome. We could fan out for another hour and 18 minutes, but for the sake of time, but this is where this also allows me to plug Amber and Jade, who are going to be doing a Force Friday over at Walt's apartment. So to be continued, hopefully, ladies, we can get in on one of those podcasts and make that podcast maybe all about, oh, nice. I like that little trickery. We had a Baby Yoda pass from window to window and other twins. He's molted. He's multiplied.
I'm not mirrored right.
Listen, stop. Shiny objects. You're distracting as the host. Like, this is making for terrible radio, people.
That's true. Sorry,
Amber and Jade are going to have a Force Friday, and what better way to continue that conversation? So, Amber and Jade, tell us where can we find Force Fridays? Hit us up with your socials, and then we're going to go around the horn for our amazing panel. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us where we can find you, Amber and Jade.
Yeah, so Walt's Apartment Podcast, which some of you are listening to this on right now. You can find all of us there. Force Fridays will be a bi-weekly podcast, so every other Friday. Just some latest news. We'll probably dive into some of the elements of things maybe that we would speculate would be important in the future of all these series. And on the social medias, Jade?
Snips_JR. Snips, aka Ahsoka.
At Instagram.
Yes, Instagram.
Just Instagram. And I'm Amber Atin Cosplay on Instagram and Facebook. And Walt's Apartments on all of those platforms as well.
And I love the podcast. I love you guys over there. I told Shawn a million times. Love Walt's Apartment. Love what you guys are doing. They've had me on their show. It's a lot of fun. Shawn, you're a way better moderator than I ever could be, my friend. This is a really tough gig because I have to shut up in order to do this, and that's really hard for me to do. I'm like a shark. If I stop swimming, I'll die. If I stop talking, I'll blow up. Mr. Ruby, tell us where we can find you on the socials, my friend.
Oh, I'm around. You can find me on Twitter at Mike_Ruby. That's probably the best place to see me floating out and about. And just wanted to say thanks again for having me on. It was super fun to be able to talk to a bunch of super fans. This was
Twitter,
really cool. Yeah, I keep the gram private because the grandparents watch the kids. It
allows me. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Get off my lawn.
It is. Listen, it is the Mos Eisley of the social media world. But good for you, buddy. You're making it over there. Brian, where can we find you on socials?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Twitter to make Mike feel a little better. They're both at BRL_2187. If you get the reference, good for you. But the 2187. But yeah, I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, United We Fan the podcast. Me and my co-host Marc over there, we talk about all different corners of the fandom world, and we're going to get into Mando season 2 in early February. Lots of good stuff going on over there too.
Yeah, and Wolf, hit us up, buddy. I'm really proud of this one. I'm excited. I'm really excited for.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a lot of things happening. So we are the Wolf and Wookie, a Walt Disney World podcast. We're a WDW podcast. We are powered by This DisLife. And, hey, I was going to say, my buddy the Wookie has had some really difficult times tonight. And we really missed his conversation and him being a part of this. And I always look forward to what he has to say. Because he is the Wookiee to my Han Solo, and we're really excited for everything that's coming. I'm still at work, so I'm sort of excited to be heading home to my wife.
While it's working, I just want to say thank you before it kicks me out again.
Listen, buddy, you and Tarfer did a great job. Someone had to get Yoda into the escape pod. Thank you for your contribution. Listen, the battle you did tonight. You really did. You got Yoda to Dagobah. You got him there safely. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your service tonight, Wookie. We appreciate it. We know that there was all kinds of bedlam going on there in Kashyyyk, and the battle was raging. I know the connection was crazy because of that. Inside jokes abound. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you to my panel. Thank you guys. This was as epic as I thought it was going to be. I've enjoyed this season. Thank you to the fans who have been here since episode 1 with us. And thank you to everyone who's joining us over at Walt's Apartment. Thank you to everyone on This DisLife. Guys, I'm a huge fan. Brian at United We Fan, love their podcast. He and Marc do an amazing podcast. Amber and Jade, I cannot wait for Force Fridays. I love your Mandalorian Mondays. Thank you so much for agreeing to join us tonight. Mr. Ruby, it was like old times, my friend. more discussion to be had on The Last Jedi, maybe over at Amber and Jade's place. You guys can beat up on me for a half hour or 45 minutes because I am not a huge fan of The Last Jedi. And Wolf and Wookie, gentlemen, we'll see you real soon. Right?
Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good night. And as always, I hope the rest of your week is filled with faith, trust, and pixie dust. We'll see you real soon.